Can you see how amazing these are? Oh my goodness. I am making Belgian Liege waffles, which if you've never had one, they are incredible. It is a yeasted dough that is cooked in a waffle iron, but mixed into the dough is something called pearl sugar. There are different kinds of pearl sugar. You want to make sure you're getting the Belgian pearl sugar. It kind of looks like this. They're like these big nibs of sugar, and you mix that into the dough, and then some of that kind of caramelizes on the outside of the dough in the waffle iron. They are incredible. If you don't want to get that, you can actually buy sugar cubes, like the kind that you would put for your coffee or tea, and just kind of break them up a little bit, and those work as well. I'm gonna show you how to make it. I'll give you the amounts here, but if you want the full written recipe, just Google Baker Betty Liege waffles. They're one of my husband's favorite things in the world, and I'm gonna stock the freezer with them. To start, I am proofing my yeast. So I have 1 cup, which is 240 milliliters of milk, warm, around 110 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like 45 degrees Celsius. I added in here 7 grams or 1 package of yeast. I am using active dry yeast. You can use active dry or instant or rapid rise yeast, all fine. And then I just put a few big pinches of sugar in here, gave that a quick stir. It's probably gonna be a little bit clumpy, that's fine. I just wanna make sure all that yeast is submerged. I'm gonna set this aside while I work on my other ingredients. Okay, after the pepper nut debacle, I feel like I have to pop in here to say that I am not claiming this is an authentic Belgian recipe, okay? This is just how I make them. I'm going to do this in my stand mixer, but you can absolutely do this in a big mixing bowl and just knead it by hand. I am going to start by adding 4 cups, which is 480 grams of all-purpose flour into the mixing bowl. Also going to add 1 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 50 grams, which is 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, white sugar. Also need 85 grams, which is 6 tablespoons of very soft butter. I am using unsalted butter. I always bake with unsalted butter so I can control the salt. If you have salted butter on hand, just reduce the salt to 1 teaspoon instead of 1 1/4 teaspoon. I'm also adding in 2 large eggs. As soon as your yeast mixture is frothy like this on top, you know you can go ahead and move ahead. This has activated our yeast and it has given us visual proof that it is alive. This is always an optional step in any yeasted recipe, but it is a good kind of insurance policy to make sure your yeast is alive before you add it into your bread dough. And it also just gets things moving a little quicker. I should also say you can use any kind of milk here. It will all work. I have my mixer fit with my dough hook attachment. I'm going to go ahead and pour all of that milk in and yeast. And if you are doing this by hand, you're just going to use a silicone spatula to start mixing it up. Eventually, you are going to need to get your hands in there and just kind of massage the dough until everything comes together. And then you can knead it out on the countertop. I'll show you that technique here in a minute. But if you're using a stand mixer, you are going to go on medium-low speed and just let it come together. And I'll show you what it should look like. After about 30 seconds of mixing, I do come in with a spatula and just kind of push all that flour down to the bottom to make sure it's getting mixed in, and then continue mixing. See how the dough is kind of pooling all around the sides? I want this to be pulling away from the sides and just pooling at the very bottom in the middle. So I'm going to need to work in a little bit more flour. You can work in like maybe up to another cup or 120 grams more flour. Whether you're kneading this in the mixer or by hand, you're gonna go for about 8 to 10 minutes. And if you do it by hand, I kind of like to use this two-handed motion for this dough. You'll see I'm just letting it kind of roll under my hand as I bring it across, kind of back and forth. So I'm just kind of rolling it under, bringing it back, rolling it under, bringing it back. I'm not pushing down into the counter. I'm going across the dough to kind of help stretch it out to build our gluten strength. You want the dough to feel really, really nice and moist. I always say that it kind of feels like a fresh package of Play-Doh that you just opened up, where it really has that nice tacky sticky moistness to it, but it's not gluing itself to you. I am now going to just kind of round this up into a ball. I'm just gonna drop it right back down into my same mixing bowl, and I will cover this with a damp towel, and I'm gonna let this rest. It needs to rest for about 30 minutes if you used instant yeast, and about an hour if you use active dry yeast. And I'm gonna go take a shower and I'll come back. We'll work in the pearl sugar and we'll start putting them on the waffle iron. And it's been about an hour. My dough has risen quite a bit. So I'm just gonna pull the dough out on the counter. You really shouldn't need flour. If it's feeling incredibly sticky, you could put a little flour out. And I'm just gonna start by kind of pressing this out flat so that I have like a wider surface to sprinkle my sugar on. Now I'm going to take that pearl sugar. I have about 2 cups of it, which is about 225 grams. And I'm just gonna kind of like sprinkle it all over the dough and sort of spread it out. All right, now that you have the sugar kind of spread out and just like a little bit pushed into the dough, I'm going to start by kind of just enclosing it all into the middle of the dough. And then we are going to gently knead this in until it is all distributed. And I'm gonna be gentle because I don't really wanna break up the dough a lot, and that sugar is really kind of like pokey. Once the sugar is pretty evenly distributed throughout, we are going to divide this into 12 roughly equal pieces. And I just like to use a bench knife, so I'll divide it in half, and then each half in half, and then each quarter in 3 pieces so that I have 12 pieces. You could also weigh the whole amount of dough and then divide that by 12 and then weigh each piece. I just usually eyeball it, and then if there are some pieces that look too big or too little, I just kind of cut a piece off and add it over where it needs to go. And then I like to just gently round each one up into a ball just by kind of like rolling it under my hand and giving just a light pressure. It doesn't need to be perfect, just a quick little round. I'm gonna let these rest for about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna cover them up with that same damp cloth, and I'm going to preheat my waffle iron. You want the Belgian style waffle iron, which is the kind that has the deeper wells in it. It doesn't have those like really shallow wells in it, or it won't really get the right texture and caramelization on it. And every waffle iron is different. We are trying to heat this up to a temperature that will melt most of the sugar and caramelize some of it, but we don't want the sugar to burn. And so we're kind of trying to find that perfect temperature. I'm gonna start it right in the middle, and then I'll see how it does. I might increase it depending on how much it caramelizes. We are gonna try the first one. I am gonna spray it with a little bit of nonstick spray, or you could brush melted butter on it. And then you're going to set the piece of dough right in the center of the waffle iron. It is not going to fill up the whole waffle iron when you put it down, because these are so rich. You don't actually want a giant one. And then my waffle iron does the thing where you have to turn it over. Hey, it's ready. Oh my gosh, amazing. I think I am gonna go up on the heat a little bit, or maybe just leave it in a little bit longer. I can tell the sugar is not caramelizing yet. They're done. Can you see how amazing these are? Oh my goodness. I finally kind of got the perfect setting where we're getting some caramelized bits. Not all of the pearl sugar is going to melt and caramelize, but you want some of it too. You'll get some kind of like crunchy bits of sugar. It'll be kind of yeasty and chewy, and it's just all of the best things. You're the one that cares more.
It's yeasty. It's delicious.
Bye.